Good day, everybody. Welcome back. Bill McCabe here, and we just finished a class, and I had a couple of thoughts that I wanted to share as regards to one of the ways that I approach energy. Whenever somebody's coming at you with a technique, it's really easy to fall into the trap of, oh, it's a back fist, I got to react this way. It's a grab, I got to react this way. It's a punch, I got to react this way. It's a reverse punch, it's a thrust, it's a kick, it's a roundhouse kick, side kick, hook kick. And next thing you know, your mind gets split up into all these different kinds of paths. Like, what am I supposed to do? And really what you have to do is early on develop an awareness that force travels in vectors. Now, I'm not going to explain what vectors means. You can go to Wikipedia or to a dictionary and see what it means. But in general, something which is a vector travels in a line, it has a direction, and its magnitude is measured by the force that it has. So for example, a good way to visualize a vector is like an arrow moving in space. Like when I punch somebody, if one of you comes forward to me, when I throw a punch toward a target, it's like an arrow moving in space. Okay, you don't have to manage anything over here, you don't have to manage anything over here, you don't have to manage anything over here, you don't have to manage anything over there. You just have to deal with that force that's moving from space and decide what you want to do with it. The same thing applies when somebody grabs you. I grab Carol. This is Carol who's helping me out at the moment, Carol Stone. And as I grab her, she can think about my body weight and what am I going to do to her, but really what she has to manage is this force vector right here. And the force vector is defined by how I'm holding her, whether I'm freezing her, pushing her, pulling her, and each of those will generate a different kind of awareness in her and a different kind of response. Okay, so that's the fundamental understanding that you have to have as far as management of forces goes. So I'm going to have Terry Stewart come out and assist for a second. And Carol, you just stand back a bit. Okay, so Terry, she grabs my arm. And we're doing something very simple just so you can see how this might apply and how you can experiment with it or incorporate it into your own ideas and practices. See, she holds. Now you can see that's where the vector's at. And the way to establish the vector is just move a bit. You give it a little nibble, and you know where it's at. Now you see the nibble I'm giving here is I'm giving a little pulse, which you can't see, but she can tell you that it's happening. Okay, and that comes from the internal eye. So I send out a thought, and she, you see you can sort of see her body move with the thought. Now I know where she's stuck, and when a vector's not moving, it's basically stuck on itself. So to get away from the vector, I move, and you can sort of see by changing the angle, by braking, by dipping, the vector no longer has any power or authority over me. Now come over here with the camera, if you will. Let me show you something that's very interesting about vectors. See, I have not disassembled the vector. I basically moved the vector, which was being used against me a second ago, relocated it onto her center line with my center line behind it. This is like poking her with a battering ram. See, if I move her, it changed her vector into a tool which I was able to use. And that's part of the power of this kind of understanding. So she grabs, I roll. Now I can trap her with this vector. This vector now becomes my weapon because I'm locking it and I know where it's at. I can apply force to it, as you can see. I can break the vector, and when I break the vector, again, by breaking the vector or breaking her energy, her body just pours into the ground, because energy wants to find its natural ground. Okay? She doesn't have any ability to control that. We have a name for that, by the way. It's called gravity. And gravity is your friend. You know, when you're working on self-defense and self-defense ideas and breaking balance, gravity is a big friend that not many people can see. Okay. So you have that, but you know, there's other ways you can work vectors too. So here I've got the same vector. Okay. I can roll it to the side. I can roll it down. I can push it up. That's the idea. What happens if there's two hands, two vectors. See how that works? I'll show you one more time. This is sort of magical. See two vectors? Okay, and that's the magic of this kind of science. You understand your own balance, you understand how force moves about, you understand the geometry that's involved, and you learn how to apply it by putting your thought forward. In the old days when we did Hapkido, when I did Hapkido, and I'm an old man, of course, as you can tell by looking at me, and I've had a lifetime of experience in the martial arts, and I've been trained intensively in multiple systems, several different Hapkido schools included. And we would like to roll under power. Whenever somebody grabbed us, we would just practice this all the time. Sometimes we would go like this, dip, and then roll. And you can see what happens when you control the vector. In Hapkido, they weren't telling us about vectors or breaking balance or tossing people. They were just teaching us good sound technique, which we became intuitively aware of several decades later. That's how it worked. Because you just can't teach all this stuff. I can demonstrate it, but it'll take you a long time to make it work for yourself. But if I don't show it to you, you'll never know that it exists like this. Most people only show you the techniques. I'm showing you what's under the techniques. Okay, so the roll, and she holds as tight as she can. Hold with two hands. See, I roll under her power. I'm rolling under her power. I'm rolling the other way. Okay, I'm bringing her power where she doesn't want for it to go. You see, if she pulls me, I bring it to where she doesn't want for me to take it. See, when she pulls me and moves me, she doesn't want me to go to her head. So she has no defense to that. When she pushes me, she doesn't want me to go down to the ground. So I give her a little bit more of what she was asking for. So when she has a vector, I feel where it's going, I get out of its way, and then wherever it's going, I add a few extra pound forces of energy to it, and it overloads her. I'm not overloaded because I'm avoiding it. I'm either moving, switching directions, managing it, turning my hips, any of a number of techniques which you can research on your own to learn how to dissolve and manage these forces. I'll show you one more thing, in a few seconds that we have remaining. I don't want to go too long on this because this is a lot of information in a short period of time. But the U-hand gives you tremendous leverage when you're managing a vector. So she grabs me, for instance, and I go back. See what the U-hand does? See, it's like a little carpenter's hook that you would use to hang things off the side of a stud in the old days. You would suspend ropes with it. And it would just sort of defy logic how it worked. You see, it's just so powerful. It takes all of her energy that's free floating in space as a vector, puts it on one point, and she's stuck there momentarily, and you come back. And see, if I hit her right now, it's a devastating hit. It's a devastating hit. The same U-hand works at different angles. So she grabs me cross-hand with this hand, okay? The U-hand. The U-hand is here, and I just walk her down to the ground. Okay? And again, you can see how powerful it is, but it's not the power of the U-hand, or it's not the power of my body. I'm not using any force. Again, I'm so old, whatever force I had is pretty much, down the road. So I have to use my head and whatever efficiency I've developed over time. But I want to share some of these ideas of efficiency that I've learned, because I don't want for you to have to spend 2 or 3 decades learning this stuff. If you see that I can do it with a lot of time and practice and focus, you can incorporate these concepts into your own style. And the beauty of all this is that it's not violent. Okay? This is all about self-defense. So keep that in mind, stay well defended, and meet me down the road.